This is Chapter 8, Drawing a Lewis Structure. First step in drawing a Lewis structure is we need to count the valence electrons. So don't forget the charges. You need to subtract electrons for positive charges and add elements for negative charges. So you need your periodic table in order to count the valence electrons, unless you remember it, but most people don't remember it. So over here you have 1, so your first column is going to have 1, second column is going to have 2. You're going to skip all of these. Over here is going to have 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now step 2 is determine an arrangement for the atoms. You can note usually the least electronegative atom is in the center. So for example, you have carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur. Hydrogen and fluorine are always on the outside. Okay? So number 3, or step 3 is, this is difficult. Step 3, place a pair of electrons either in a line or 2 dots between each pair of bond atoms to form a single bond. Number 4, satisfy the octet rules for the outer atoms first. Hydrogen's octet is 2, always, and all others are 8. Number 5, step 5, place the remaining electrons around the central atom. Note, remember this, if the central atom is an element in the 3rd row or lower, sometimes you will violate the octet rule, which means you have to have 8. Octet, oct is 8, so you have to have 8 to satisfy it. So we're going to do water. Let's do water. Here, well, in step 1, like I said before, previously, you need to count the valence electrons. So water, go over here to the H, hydrogen, H, has 1. We have 2 hydrogens in water. So 1 plus 1 is 2. And oxygen, which is over here, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So oxygen would have 6. So 1 plus 1 for the hydrogens plus 6 equals 8 valence electrons. Okay, so step 2, like we said before, we need to determine the arrangement for the atoms. And hydrogen, as we said, and fluorine are always on the outside. So, which means we're going to put the oxygen in the center, as we did here. Oxygen in the center and the 2 hydrogens on the outside. Now step 3, place a pair of electrons between each pair of the bonded atoms. So we have a single bond here and a single bond here. Now note, the single bonds carry 2 electrons. Okay? So step 4, satisfy the octets of the outer H's. Each hydrogen has 2. Now step 5, place the 4 remaining electrons around the central atom, which is oxygen. So we have 2, 4, 6, and 8. And since water is bent, we write it like this. You have your oxygen here, if you can see it. If not, I'll rewrite it. We have oxygen, is our single bond over here for hydrogen. Draw another one over here for hydrogen. Then we have our 2 over here, and 2 right here. You can make the bunny ears because they are a part of this. Or you don't have to. You can actually do water like this. But since it is bent, this is the shape that it will take. Right here. And that is how you do the Lewis structure for water.